Westport Board of Health, February 5th, 2024 meeting. I'm calling it to order with the following announcements under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F. This meeting is being recorded, and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we'll begin with the written report from the director. A slightly revised agenda there.
Yeah.
Phil, just so you know. Any questions on that? If not, we'll turn to Matt for your verbal report.
Okay. So just to reiterate, the public health nurse is unavailable. We're anticipating a return until February 26th. If anyone from the public has any questions or concerns, please inquire at the Board of Health office. COVID-19 test kits are available at no cost to the public. Kits are available at the Board of Health office. The January 18th, 2024 blood drive exceeded the Red Cross goal. 32 pints were collected, which equated to helping 96 patients. The Red Cross will be holding blood drives at St. John the Baptist Church, 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. on the following dates: March 14th, April 18th, May 16th, and June 13th. You can go to their webpage, which is redcross.org, and just kind of filter on Westport to view those dates and sign up. Okay, so the transfer station, we were down a staff person for a week, and due to that, we were using contractors to haul for us. We experienced a very minor and very temporary hiccup on Monday, January 29th. The contractor was running behind schedule and caused the trash to back up for a very short period of time. Because of the hard work of the transfer station staff and the senior health agent, we were able to keep the trash operations open and running and eliminate the backup in a very short period of time. I just wanted to point that out to the board and make it clear that's what happened. The collaborative has a housing code training coming scheduled for February 13th at White's of Westport. We're expecting 45 plus people from all over the South Coast to participate in this training. So these trainings that we've been running have been fantastic, and the other collaborative groups have been taking well to them. You know, it's a lot of hard work and organization on my part and all of part, but it's worth it. It's really a good thing to have going. We're also having a food code training on April 10th over at White's, and much like the housing code training, we're expecting upwards of 40 people from all over the South Coast and the different collaboratives to participate.
Okay. Anything else?
No, not that comes to mind right away.
We'll move on to director approved plans to endorse. We have, you want to report on those?
Sure. We have a 2-bedroom repair on a 100,188 square foot lot on 657 Old County Road for a Wendell Gifford. This is utilizing a stone bed, and it's been Concom reviewed, and this one is replacing a cesspool and will require a 2-bedroom deed restriction. We have a 3-bedroom repair on a 19,800 square foot lot on 1038 American Legion Highway for Robert Zeminski, utilizing a stone bed. This has been through Concom, and 3-bedroom deed restriction is required.
Okay. And the third one is, we did last time. So.
Yeah, the third one last time.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve those two with the appropriate deed restrictions.
So moved.
Can I just ask a question as to why a lot size of 100,000?
Because it's they're putting in a 2-bedroom system, septic system, so it has to, by Title V.
Oh, by Title V, okay, thanks, okay.
We just need a 2-bedroom deed restriction on 657 Old County, 3-bedroom on 1038 American Legion to get that.
He has it. I gave him my sheet.
Okay.
I did second.
Phil has seconded, so all in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous, thank you. Okay, moving on to minutes. We have some wayward minutes from 2022. It's a trip back in time.
I'm so glad I take good notes. I did find that, yeah. I didn't have any questions or comments about any of the minutes
Okay,
or additions or,
I did.
oh,
okay.
So the December,
18th.
December 18th on the page 4, in the second paragraph, at least where it says that Ms. Amaral and Mr. Weinberg indicated they were not aware of the health risks posed by plastics and styrofoam products. I think I was aware. I don't know if I said I wasn't aware, but I think I was aware. You see what I'm saying?
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Second
take out the
paragraph,
word
second
not.
sentence.
So
Yeah.
they were aware. We're aware.
We're aware.
So
I
just
think
take
it
out the
should say.
not. Okay.
Yes, I am. And I was.
And while since we're gonna tweak those, can we just, one little typo on the first page, Olive Wachowski, it's the South Coast Public Health Collaborative, so SCPHC Coordinator, since we're tweaking them
Other
anyways.
than that, I'm fine.
Okay, and how about the January 8th?
What date was that?
That's
That was
December
December
18th, the
18th.
same one, so just those two little tweaks. And January 8th, everybody's fine with those? We could take a motion to approve all 3 sets of minutes.
so moved with the changes that we indicated in December 18th.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of November 28th, 2022, December 18th, 2023, with minor edits, and January 8th, 2024. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous, thank you. Okay, we have our first appointment at 4:15, so why don't we go, we'll go on to board member updates for the next few minutes, and we can circle back if we need to.
Okay, so my updates are I'm working on mental health awareness planning. Olive and I will be having a meeting with Mental Health First Aid, the organization, to see if they can do something more formal in providing training in our area, maybe even in the collaborative. And just to let people know, to get ready for April, Team Cow will be meeting, I think at the end of this month, to do the planning for the April cleaning our Westport cleanup.
All right.
Well, the only thing I wanted to mention was that Jim Whiten called me over the weekend to talk to me about East Beach, because he had been requested representing the planning board, if the planning board would put together a recommendation or analysis about kind of what to do next with the long-term situation on East Beach. And while we didn't come up with any of that, he was kind of looking back at the history of what had happened at East Beach, and that led us to thinking that it would be helpful just to understand the present situation if there was a map that was created that would kind of designate, overlapping with the Conservation Commission, what sites had approval for beach nourishment and what sites might be requesting approval, and from a Board of Health perspective, what sites had what kind of septic system. And so I recalled that when we had done the compliance initiative, I think a couple of years ago now, that you had developed a list. And so I shared that list with Jim, saying it may not be the most up-to-date list, but at least it would be a start. And I think what might happen is then Mike Burrows, because I thought it was easier to give that list rather than asking you to compile a new list from scratch, because then you could, anyway, so then Mike Burrows might reach out to you to ask for kind of an updated list of where there was tight tanks and where there was septic systems, etc. So
He did reach out, and
Okay.
I did respond. I got this extremely busy week, and I told him I'd do my best to try to get to that updated list. But tomorrow, I am walking East Beach with the association president, at 9 o'clock, and we're gonna walk the whole every property that has tight tanks or septic systems, and take a look. And I don't, know exactly why, but we're gonna do that, and because they all have to be tested anyways.
right, and I explained that to
Yeah.
Jim as well, but I think there's just this general lack of information as to if you can't kind of treat everybody the same, what are the distinguishing aspects of each of the lots that might require them to do more or less work? And because there is grading going on right now on some of the lots, which is okay, I believe, from those that have approval under the Conservation Commission. And we sent them a letter, this commission sent them a letter, similar in the vein to what Matt developed. Here's what you need to do going forward, kind of a letter. And here's what you shouldn't be doing without prior review and approval of the commission. So that's what's going on with that.
Could we use the septic system database for a source of updated information? It's not.
I think the list that we created a couple of years back is pretty well updated. I know a couple people, I think, along the way between now and then upgraded their SAS, like a leaching field, to a tight tank.
Mm.
So I have to take a look at that. And I know there's one that wants to upgrade to a tight tank right now. That's currently has a leaching field. So but there's not many that have been updated on that list, but I can update them.
Yeah.
And I think that, yeah.
After I do the walkthrough tomorrow, I'll take a look at that list.
And there's some that have, kind of the portable tanks. They're not in-ground,
Self-contained.
Self-contained, yeah. And so, so anyway, that's, so I guess what the select board is looking to, about that and our piece of that
Okay.
situation.
Great, thank you. Well, it sounds like between the information you provided and the planned walk through, that we'll be providing them with the info
Yeah.
we can.
But I think, as Matt indicated, at some point, it may be that systems are like tanks, tight or septic tanks, may need to be replaced versus just having minor repair, or they just need to get recovered or cleaned, or, so. And that was also part of the screening that the inspections will generate.
Yeah. I think down the road, we need to think about how many times do you keep
Well,
doing the same thing?
right, that's, yeah.
And, from a septic perspective, maybe self-containment is the way it needs to go down there.
Yeah.
As a manageable option, given the uncertainty of the ground conditions there.
Right.
over
Well,
time.
that's what the East Beach vulnerability study kind of looked at, and, made some proposals. And I understand that the highway department is resurveying the layout of the road, which also may affect actually what the size of the
Right.
lots are. And apparently, when that happened before, that the town entered into leases with the lot owners where the town leased them the right to use a portion of their right-of-way for some purpose associated with the lot, just so they could be, sufficiently back from the edge of the bay, which is closer now than it was a month ago.
And some of these tanks that might have to get replaced are may have to go closer to the road.
Yeah.
And that will, depending on what was surveyed and where that roadway
Right.
layout ended up,
Mhm.
we'll have to see. When people start coming into the board with plans for approval, we'll have to take a look at that.
Yeah.
Is there a plan to have the Army Corps of Engineers come and look? And
The,
Army Corps of Engineers came down
oh, okay.
after the last big storm that took out the road, and I recall them saying another storm may mean no more road.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if they are involved, if we know if they're involved at all.
I do not know.
But it's the evacuation route status that requires the road to be there. So that's something that has to be dealt with.
Okay, it is a little past 4:15, so I'm going to call the 4:15 appointment, a septic extension request by Eugene Roy for Cahoon's Lane, map 2, lot 42D. Is Mr. Roy in? Come on up. Have a seat. We have received your letter and the plan. You want to just briefly describe your request?
Basically, I didn't realize that it was out by 11 days. I came in on the 23rd and it expired on the 12th.
Mhm.
Let me know, and I told me I had to come in front of you people here. I've had a couple of bad years
Health
with some
issues,
health
yeah.
issues.
Mhm.
This is not for anybody but my daughter. This is on our property that I gave each of them a piece of property
Mhm.
and was hoping to get this project started a couple of years ago, but after the
Got to-
hand cut and
Yeah.
quadriceps, kind of hard to run a piece of equipment. I basically canceled all my trucks that had clutches. That's because I couldn't push the clutch in or like climb up in machinery and do things. So, but I've struggled my way through and wanted to get started on it, and I'm very sorry that I
Miss-
missed the deadline on it, and I'm hoping that you people would consider to give me that extension and so that I could get this
Yeah.
project moving along for her.
Understood. The main reason, of course, is in the interim, we have new requirements for new construction that were not in place at the time of your original permit. But I'm sympathetic to the circumstances here. But I'll open it up for either Matt or the board members for comment.
I don't have any issue with it.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with a 6-month
Yeah.
extension.
I would also,
Okay.
clearly unforeseeable circumstances.
Okay. Is there anything, do they have to do a new application or anything? Or what's the process?
Everything will just have to be updated. The plan would have to be dated, updated. The application would have to be that new application.
Okay.
I'll contact Mark and get him to take care of that.
Sure.
Okay.
And pay the fee. I appreciate that.
So I would entertain a motion to grant a 6-month extension for 33 Cahoon's Lane and Mr. Roy.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Thank you for
Thank you
coming
very
in.
much. People have a great day.
You too.
Okay, good luck.
Good luck with your recovery.
Thank you.
Okay. We have
10 minutes.
10 minutes before our next hearing, so let's, I can just do a couple quick updates and maybe we can discuss this meeting schedule under unanticipated. We forgot to put on the agenda. So just the column that I shared with everybody that Olive had done all the research for, and we just shortened it up for a health notes column about opioid overdoses and harm reduction efforts. I was just waiting for the collaborative website to be live so that we could post the detailed information that we couldn't fit in the column. And Olive tells me it's going to be live tomorrow. I'm not sure I can get it into this week's, but we'll shoot for next week. And she's working on a few others related to that, so that we have more columns in the pipeline, and I know Phil had offered to do one as well around microplastics and all that, so
That's good.
whenever you are able to get to that, we'll put it in the queue, that'd be great.
And I certainly will do one related to Mental Health Awareness Month
Sure.
once I have everything organized
Yeah.
and to go maybe at the end of April, the beginning of May,
Yeah.
probably the end of April.
Okay, maybe we can work out a schedule, the working meeting, column schedule, so. Okay, so our next regularly scheduled meeting would be on the 19th, which is a holiday. I got the date right, 19th. We had talked about just canceling that meeting. How's the,
President's Day, yeah.
or, I know that there were challenges to rescheduling that date. Any, Matt, is the workload bumping up, or should we try and schedule a meeting that week?
Well, we have a working meeting on the 12th, well, that's the week before, right? I know that, I think Donna might have had an issue for Tuesday, the 20th.
Yeah, it's my kid day. It's
And
my childcare day.
I had an issue for the 21st, because I'm not gonna be here. So I think it was challenges on trying to get us all
Yeah.
together.
I can do Thursday afternoon. I mean, I could hold it if we need.
The
It's okay with
22nd.
me.
Thursday
Yeah.
works for me.
This is for a regular meeting, right?
This is for a
No.
regular
Mhm.
meeting. Do we have any conflicts with this room on a Thursday?
I have to look at the calendar, I don't know right now.
Okay.
We can, we can pencil it in and then, let me see if I can get on the calendar for the time.
Okay, so we'll tentatively schedule it for 4 o'clock on the 22nd. 4 p.m. And if, we'll know by the working meeting next Monday, you know, we'll have a better sense of whether we can cancel it or not. But let's propose to do that.
It was on the 22nd?
I'm talking about February 22nd. It's a Thursday at 4 o'clock.
There's nothing on the town calendar as of yet,
Okay.
so, okay.
But that would be unusual if it was on the town calendar 2 weeks in advance. right?
Yeah. So we grab it first, okay. Well, okay, we'll plan that.
Did you say 4 PM?
4 p.m., yeah. I can't do it in the morning, so. Okay, we have, the next meeting the hearing is at 4:30, so we have 5 minutes to, can we just, we can go to the next, unanticipated item, which was the 2023 annual report. Matt shared with you over the weekend. Is that, everybody comfortable?
I read it.
Yeah, it was good.
Okay.
I thought it was very good. I thought it was better than, or that it gave a more fulsome overview of just some of the work that the board had done, rather, than mostly being the data, which is really good. And the mission, which is more or less unchanged, but this gave a good profile of what we had done
Yeah.
in the
No,
previous year, so that was
I
good.
agree. He and Nancy did a
Yeah.
great job.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know that we need to vote formally to endorse that,
You don't have to, I was just gonna move it on tomorrow to,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. But that does prompt discussion for our working meeting on the 15th. So these would be topics for the next working meeting, let's call it sort of on the agenda. I just mentioned the schedule for the column. We talked about well regs. This annual report reminded me of reviewing for priorities for for calendar year '24. So we could discuss that if people are comfortable with that. And Matt's performance eval. Not the evaluation itself, but just the discussion of the process and how we're going to do that.
Okay.
And job description, because of the town effort right now to do a wage study. They're having these questionnaires and looking at Matt's job description, it's out of date. Does not encompass much of the added responsibilities that he's had over the last few years. So I would like to have that be on the agenda as well for review.
For the working meeting or
for the working meeting? Matt and I, because there's a time crunch for this wage study, so it goes hand in hand with the questionnaire that all the staff are being required to fill out. So I want to have that revised job description ready to go. So we'll get that to you before that meeting.
Okay.
Is that that's a 10 o'clock meeting?
That is 10 o'clock on
Yep.
Monday, the 15th. No,
Okay.
Monday the 11th.
The working meeting?
No,
12th.
Yes.
It's on the 12th.
on the 12th. Okay, yep.
Okay, good, I got it the right time.
Okay. I think we're close enough to 4:30. We can.
Yep.
Let me just back up. Any other agenda items you want to add to that meeting next week?
Well, just to say, it's a working meeting and the well discussion is gonna take a while. So, it's involved, so I wouldn't, unless you guys wanna meet for, 3+ hours, I would,
Okay. So noted. We'll keep the other topics. We'll breeze through to those.
The board prefer the plan up on the board or in front of you?
I think we have it.
we all have copies of that.
Okay.
So, unless you needed the reference,
Why don't you put it on the board for the camera? Let me formally, too much noise, I'm crinkling here. I'm calling the 4:30 p.m. Local upgrade approval hearing for William Smith, representing Rachel Capobianco.
I've actually changed my name back to Bischoff, which is what it's under Rachel Bischoff Living Trust.
Right.
And I got divorced, so I'm back to my maiden name. So I'm Rachel Bischoff.
Okay,
Nice to
great.
meet you.
Nice to meet you. At 1056 Main Road. This is a 2-bedroom repair with a stone bed, and Advantex AX20 RT on a 3.14 acre lot. I hope everybody got that, even though we were making noise. Okay, so the hearing is open.
Good
Mr. Smith,
good evening.
feel free to do your presentation.
Thank you. So essentially, what's happened is Rachel purchased the property 2022. The house was in very deplorable condition, needed to be knocked down and replaced. We went to the Conservation Commission because the property is actually surrounded by wetlands. If you look at the plan, there's a kind of an island in the middle where the house and septic system and whatnot are. It's a existing two-bedroom house, which has since been knocked down. We got permission from the Conservation Commission to work within the wetlands. There was a bit of a disconnect relative to the septic system, and Title V inspection was done. The system was suitable. Rachel thought that we didn't need to do anything else, but because we're replacing the house, we have to provide denitrification to that, and that's what we're here for tonight. We want to put an Advantex AX20 RT in the system so that we can meet those nitrogen reduction requirements.
Okay.
It's going to stay a 2-bedroom house. The size is within inches of what was there previously, so there's no change in the footprint. It's in the same location. We're replacing a pump chamber and putting the Advantex unit in its place. So in a nutshell, that's it. 5 minutes ago, I received the well test results. And initially, the test they found coliform in it. They redid the test, and then there's a second page that basically says that the coliform is no longer present. And provide those to you.
Okay, this is nitrates.
Looks-
Nitrites and nitrates are very low.
Yeah. Iron and manganese are pretty high, based on my quick scan of that.
Mhm.
But those can certainly be corrected
Yep.
with proper filtration.
All right, anybody, I'm gonna send that down to Matt to make sure you get it in the file. They don't raise any red flags from a septic
Okay.
perspective.
Okay. There was a shed on the property that had a bed in it. I think Matt, or your staff had indicated that. And that's since the house is down. Rachel lives in Vermont. She's been coming down, and she kind of crashes there. That bed, that shed will be decommissioned as a bedroom upon the construction of the house. And that's it. A two-bedroom deed restriction will be filed, as well as all of the advanced treatment paperwork that goes with it.
Okay. All right, I have a few comments and questions, but I'm going to turn first to Matt. for the
Okay.
report.
They were probably the same questions.
Okay, so this wetland line has been approved by
Yes.
Conservation Commission?
Yes, an order of condition was issued for the replacement house.
Convenient. Around the sheds, I'm guessing maybe there was some fill or something, but anyways, okay, so it's been approved. The bunkhouse shed with the toilet, that's where you're currently sleeping at night, you know, when you come visit, that's where the bed is right now, this one?
In the bunkhouse, yes. And I think there's a shed with a toilet that is connected to the septic tank that is on, and that's really for,
It's an outhouse that we connected to the existing septic tank.
yeah.
But you could have, I mean, I could have put like a outhouse, like a composting toilet or something, but I didn't. I just, it's 12 feet away from the existing tank. We just ran the PVC pipe, so that would just be.
Okay, so it is, I didn't see a connection,
Yes,
so.
if you look closely, there's a light line that shows the connection to it.
Okay.
And it's not an outhouse. It's similar to an outhouse, but it's actually connected to the septic tank.
Okay.
It goes through the tank and a leaching field.
Okay, so it's not going into the ground.
No.
Got it. One good thing. All right,
Okay. Outhouse goes into the ground. Sorry,
Yeah,
that's what they called it when I purchased it.
okay.
yeah, okay, so on that, from my perspective, I mean, the two-bedroom deed restriction, we want to also just have clarification in that this would not be converted. I mean, two-bedroom deed is, you know, sort of clear, but just because it was an existing structure used as a bedroom, that it, you know, the deed notes.
Includes some language that
This is-
specifically indicates that that would not be used
Yeah.
for a bedroom.
I could not, I mean, my question, I guess, to Matt or you, Mr. Smith, since it's an existing leach field that you don't need to renovate or do anything to, I didn't see the flow calculations anywhere on the
Matt
plan.
mentioned that to me earlier. They were included, the original design was included with the package, but it wasn't put on my plan. And
Okay.
I can certainly add that. Matt had also indicated we should have a dimension. We indicate that the distance from the leaching field to the well is 62 feet, but
Right.
he wanted me to specifically show a liter with the number on that.
I mean,
and the soil results too.
okay.
Because we weren't doing anything with the leaching field, I didn't know you necessarily needed that, but I can certainly
And just
add
for
that.
the record, we
Sure.
want everything
By
in sort
by
of.
all means, I can clean that
official.
up. And there's a couple of stray artifacts that reference a bottomless sand filter in a couple of the notes. And I
Yeah.
thought we'd gotten them all, but we missed some, so I've got to clean that up too.
Okay, so, and the other sheds in sort of either side of the, those are just storage sheds, right? Okay. And a chicken coop? Yeah. Okay. Those were my questions. Let me open it up for the rest of the board. And you're using general use approval for the?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm fine with it. I think
I'm
that
good.
covers things. I mean,
I'm sorry, it was your turn.
Well, I mean, my question also was, this is a really large lot. I didn't get a sense of where all the,
This is the wetlands line.
that's all the
Right.
wetlands?
Yeah, well, the wetlands is just, that's the non-wetland area.
Okay.
So the rest, the bulk of the lot is.
So, my question was gonna be, if it's such a large lot, why couldn't it be moved away so they wouldn't need a variance of this, to 62 feet rather than 100 from the well, or moving the well?
So that's the existing well and the existing system
Mhm.
that served the old two-bedroom house, and we were hoping to be able to continue to use that, and we'll add the denitrification component.
Any thoughts on that, Mr. Phil?
what's that?
The idea that it's my question was, why not move the well to make, or the SAS,
Oh, I see.
because of the size of the lot? But he indicated there's an enormous, it's surrounded by wetlands.
It is pretty restricted
Yeah.
with the wetlands.
I think our, so the Title V regulation does prioritize relocating the well over giving a variance. But the history of the practice here, because in looking at maximum feasible compliance, it's legitimate to consider the economics of that, has generally not compelled upgrades, or in this case, it's kind of a new, I don't know,
Mhm.
To incur that expense, if they're getting good quality water out of what the current, where the current well location is. So I think that's what our practice has been, and just from a consistency point of view,
Right.
because otherwise I think we're pushing, plus the denitrification system kind of eliminates one of the major reasons for having the 100-foot separation. Because
Okay.
that will reduce that, to substantially.
The whole issue of well setbacks and so on will be part of our
Yes, our discussion.
revisiting. Because we're kind of
Yeah.
big on.
I mean, so as long as
well
it's more than 50 feet, you can't have it within 50 feet, but between 50 feet and 100 feet, we have discretion, and that's generally how we've been exercising our discretion
Okay.
in the absence of, very site-specific
I always
situation.
appreciate your expertise and input when it comes to these things.
And generally, just to say in terms of what you had mentioned before, it's kind of lawn trumps wetlands. Like if there's lawn there, you can have it, and once there's a shed on it, you can't really look at the soil underneath the shed, so, which would be the other way to determine whether it was a wetland, so.
There's
So
several
you can
sheds on
have,
this
you can
property.
maintain your lawn.
Yeah.
You don't have to let the wetland grow over your lawn, so I think that explains,
Yeah,
um,
okay.
why the wetland line looks the way it does.
Yeah.
It wasn't natural that it caused, that
Right,
created
that's-
that.
I
That was
figured.
human-made.
Okay, based on the discussion, I think I would entertain a motion to approve the local upgrade approval with the conditions we would normally have about harmless, and the Conservation Commission review, and a revised plan, updated plan with the items that we
Sure.
noted needed to be either added or corrected. Somebody willing to do that motion?
I am, but I mean, is it, are we technically, so to speak, treating this as new construction because it was
Yes.
voluntarily demolished rather than local agreement? Oh, okay, all right, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. I would so move what, if you want to go back to that.
Well,
Would that make sense?
I can try to do
Okay,
this.
all right, no, okay, yeah. Go ahead.
So I move that we approve the plan went after revision, or we're approving the plan, but we're expecting revisions to the plan, correct, right? So that we move to approve the plan, the revised plan for 1056 Main Road, owned by Rachel Marie Bishop, dated, we are going to be approving a plan that's going to have a different date, correct?
yes.
Yeah, it'll have a revision date.
The revised plan, whenever that is delivered to Mr. Armendo.
I can revise it, and revision date could be tomorrow if you need a specific date in.
Do we need a specific date?
Sure.
Okay, so the date would be February 6th, 2024. With a requested variance of a setback separation between the SAS and the well of 62 feet, which is unchanged from the current setback, with the following conditions: hold harmless agreement, 2-bedroom deed restriction. Are we going to need water analysis?
He brought one
We
in.
brought it in.
Oh, okay. And do we need the total nitrogen testing, or is this a voluntary? No, it's not voluntary because it's new construction.
It's
So-
3 years of well testing.
Yeah. 3 years of well testing and 2 times a year, or
Yep.
TNT, the total nitrogen testing.
So do you want a Concom stamp on it?
Oh, and Concom, yep,
Yeah, we'll send the revised plans over to Concom.
right.
And the deed restriction with the notes as we discussed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you get that, Bob?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the plan for Rachel Marie Bishop at 1056 Main Road with the conditions enumerated. All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck with your new house.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay. Next, I'm going to call a 4:40 p.m. hearing for Len Potter representing Robert Tremblay at 277 Robert Street. This is a 3-bedroom using a proposed quick 4 soil absorption system on a 500 square foot lot. And Mr. Potter can begin.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, this is Len Potter here for Westport Environmental Design for Robert Tremblay, 277 Robert Street. We have a big lot, but we don't have a big lot. The house is, as you see it, it's a 3-bedroom home. There's 2 cesspools out in front of the house, and 1 cesspool in the rear. The cesspool in the rear on the pond side is to take sure that the basement's fixed up, there's a small kitchen and a bathroom, and it dumps into that cesspool, which is the same location as the proposed pump chamber is going, so it's about 30 feet from the pond. I don't have any room to put the system between the house and the pond to get 100 feet from the well. So consequently, I did a perk test up front, keeping the new system 20 feet off the foundation as code requires. I installed a 2,000-gallon 2-compartment tank to lift the surge up to the distribution box and the system. The perk test is 28 minutes per inch. It was a 30-minute design, so it's quite a large system. Consequently, the well was located out front, and the distance between the well and the proposed system is 67 feet. And you can see by looking at it that the original system was not 100 feet away from the two cesspools. The variance that we're seeking is to allow the system to be installed less than 100 feet from the owner's well, more than 50, less than 100. The actual number is 67. We had the water tested, and the nitrate level was 6.6, and the water test.
6.2.
The ammonia and the nitrites was all, everything else was fine, no bacteria. But I do have 6.6 nitrates. So I'm asking for an actual feasible compliance waiver. We're over 100 feet away from the pond. We have a quick bore system. We have a well is upgrading it of the leaching field. The elevation of the well is around 101.3, and the perk test was taken at 97.50. So you can see you have roughly a 4.5-foot drop. The cost of the system, as I estimated it, is about $38,000 without D-night. If you use an Advantax, increase by 14. If you use a single layer, by 13. The Advantax is a little misleading because you have to buy a special tank for the Advantax, not included in those figures, and that's about $3,200. So really the Advantax is about $17,000. The single layer is $13,000, but it is inclusive of the tank. So that gives about $51,000, and we'll just call it $52,000 for the Advantax. That's fine. The value of the home is $508,200, as the assessors state in their property record card. So I'm asking essentially for a financial waiver on behalf of Mr. Trumbull.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. I'll turn to Matt.
So I think the design is fine, it's just a matter of if the board is going to accept the MFC.
All right, I'll open that up for the floor, for the board for discussion.
This is like on what pond? DeVaugh?
Saudi.
Saudi pond.
There's an option there.
Yes, no, I see it.
Can I confess a little confusion about this as to where we do this? Because I thought on the MSC stuff, we moved to the point where, so this is a 3-bedroom system, so it needs 30,000 square feet, right?
Yeah, we moved away from the small lot, we don't even, it's all about the well. If the well's less than 100 feet, then it kicks in the maximum piece of
Okay,
compliance. It's
all
not
right.
about the lot size.
Okay, so we're ignoring the lot size, so it's just the distance to the well?
Right.
Yeah, we've been doing that for some time.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought, so then, okay.
And the night,
And it's slightly over 5, it's slightly
Yeah,
over 5.
it's
so that's the
6.2.
issue, yeah. Mhm. So, okay. Just want to clarify for me.
As you know, of course, we used the $10,000 estimate as the basis for evaluating, unless you provide specific quotes. And I understand you've given us dollar figures, but it would be a,
No, I've already given prices on, gotten quotes on Advantax on several jobs in the last month. And this has to have a pump beside the Advantax. The Advantax runs around 12,000 when you add the pumps another 2,500. Single layer is the same thing. When single layer prefers it, we use the 1,000-gallon pump chamber. So it's basically $8,500 for the single layer unit. When you add the pump, add another 25, so 10,500. And then you end up with the 13,000. Single layer is actually a little cheaper. As I said, the Advantax, that doesn't include the cost of the special tank for the Advantax unit. Whereas single layer comes with a pre-prepared tank. They're getting expensive, prices just keep going up.
Okay,
I'd
well,
be happy to show you what's going on, I just have to send it out.
I mean, I'm, you know, being that, so close to the pond and that the nitrogen is, it's our marker, if it's over 5. And we need to be a little bit more vigilant about what happens, with the upgrades and whether or not D-Night is needed. I'm struggling with approving it for that reason. I mean, I understand the numbers, Mr. Potter, but again, if we don't have everything in front of us, we're basing it on something that we decided as a board that it would be, we would say $10,000, right? We need all the details and we don't have that in front of
Oh, I
us.
can give them to you, and I guarantee it's gonna be over 10. 10's long gone. An Advantax, I'm putting in one right now, $12,000, and that's no problem. If you need a pump, you're up around 14,500. And the Singular is virtually the same thing, it runs about $9,000, and you add a pump, and the pump's at $2,000, $2,200 now. So, there you go.
Inflation certainly has been.
So is again, this is a situation where the lot is outside of the watershed, but abutting Saudi Pond, is that what the scenario is?
Well, yeah, I mean,
It's in the Taunton River watershed. The Taunton River watershed.
And the cost of the basic system, the 38,000, it's so expensive because you have to do,
The two pumps, yeah.
so that's sort of based on
Yeah,
the fact that they've expanded.
yeah.
Um,
And it's a big system, that's a huge system.
yeah. Would a BSF help?
BSF, you have to use D9.
I know, but
It's
would
still
it,
gonna be, it's 40,000 for one of those, for about a centerfold.
just the BSF, really?
No, you have to have D9 with it.
Oh, okay. So we're in the same
It's a
boat.
small system, but it's very complicated.
But it would give us a little more distance
Yes, it would.
to the well. And so the lower level bath, it's still 3 bedrooms, but it's, that extra pump chamber is because,
They have a kitchen in the basement, like a summer kitchen, and they have a bathroom down there, a small bathroom. And that's plumbed out to the outside of the building at the rear. And they put that cesspool in years ago to accommodate that. I had a plumber, well, they had a plumber go in there, it was Bobby Labonte, and he said it's almost impossible, we have to break up the floors and blah, blah, blah. By the time you get through, it's gonna cost more than that pump chamber pumping around.
okay.
It's the same pump. Well, it isn't the same pump, it's a macerator pump, so,
Because of the kitchen.
yeah, macerator.
they have a kitchen downstairs and a kitchen upstairs?
They have a summer kitchen, so they can have whatever.
It's not being used as an
It's
extra
not a kitchen that
residence?
they use every day.
It's not being used as a bedroom, an extra room?
No,
in the
there's no
house?
bedrooms down there. There's 2 bedrooms upstairs, and there's 1 bedroom out behind the garage. It's not an apartment. These people are in their mid-80s, so they're actually selling the house and they're moving out. They've already moved out.
Okay.
So it's not like they can go get a loan on it because it's...
What did they sell it for? What did they sell it for?
I can't hear you.
What did they sell it for?
I have no idea. They say 500,000, but I wouldn't pay 500,000. The house, it's a log cabin. It was built back in the 60s. I shouldn't say that in public.
Yeah, well, location, right, okay.
What the assessors think, what I think, it's a lot on the pond, yes.
So who's
okay.
Robert Tremblay?
He's the current owner.
but it's being sold.
What was the question?
You said it was an older couple,
an older
but
couple.
Robert Tremblay is the name on the,
Robert Tremblay, Robert, and
They're the current owners, but they're moving out.
then they've already moved out. The house is going on the market.
Okay.
So I don't
Wish
feel,
of the board.
just say, I don't feel it's a compelling case for denaturalization. I mean, my rationales being, it's just a little bit over 5. So I know 5 is the trigger level, so it's a little bit over 5, but it's not a serious, from the public health point of view, I think. The well is up gradients, which may or may not account for. It's really hard to know, like, where the next septic system, like, who's contributing to that, but any of it. Saudi's a freshwater pond, so it's a less, nitrogen is not a limiting factor, generally speaking, in freshwater ponds. It's not in the watershed. So, well, I think, and then there's also the financial thing, which again, it's not a little bit over, but it is over. Maybe if the other factors were more substantial to protecting the public health from a drinking water point of view or from an environmental impact point of view, I would not necessarily feel compelled by the money part of it. But in this case, I don't think it makes a compelling case. So if you want to move it forward, I would make a motion and then everyone can vote on it. Is that the right thing to do? Is that what you feel like? Madam Chair?
Sure.
So is there, okay, so, the land's a little more complicated, so I have to go through the details, right? So I would move to approve the plan for Robert Tremblay at 277 Robert Street on a plan that's upgrade, on a plan dated, where's the date here?
122.
122-24, subject to the following conditions. Usually I write this out, but I didn't have a chance this week to write it out. So you want a local upgrade approval for the well of a distance of, how many feet?
67.
67 feet. A 3-bedroom deed restriction, a Concom approval, hold harmless agreement, 3 years of well testing, and anything else?
I don't think so.
No, that's it.
Okay, that's my motion.
I'm not seconding it.
I will second it. Much as I hate not being able to get D-night, I'm not, it's in a gray area, and we're replacing 3 cesspools. I'd like, that will be at least an improvement. And I can't argue forcefully enough on the other criteria, whether it's the expense, the distance, the conditions, well conditions, to say D-night is absolutely required. So I will go second it. All right, I will call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
1 nay. Okay, motion carries 2-1.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Potter. Okay.
I have a question on East Beach. I spoke to Matt this morning about the tight tank testing, and he said that the board wants pressure testing on those tanks, instead of filling it with water and monitoring the drop on the rise. Pressure testing, I called a couple of places, and I'm waiting for answers to come back. I'm not sure that it can be done that simply. When I know, I'll let Matt know. Personally, I don't care, but I'm not doing pressure testing because it just takes too much time. And I don't know who does it. I called All Clear and another fellow, and I said, they're gonna get back to me and let me know. All Clear didn't even know what I was talking about.
There's no way to tell because of the way those things were batted with the cobble, if there's any micro cracks in them or cracks at all that can't be seen with the naked eye unless you pressure test them. And it's just really the only way to do it, to see if they're compromised. If it's not obviously visual.
Well, the visual is that the water drops. If you watch it for a week or 2 weeks, if the water goes down, because the water table is high on the beach, but not that high. So you fill that tank virtually to the top. What happens is it's dropping, but it's still above the water table. So it's gonna go down.
Yeah, but there's no way to do it unless you test it like that. You can't just,
Yeah, you fill it with water,
Yeah.
you monitor it for a week or two.
is that pressure testing?
That's not pressure
It's
testing,
just gravity testing it?
gravity testing.
I don't, the pressure test though, gravity test may not push it through the cracks, is what I'm, if it's a small enough crack, gravity, you know, if it's a gaping crack, yeah, sure, gravity will push it right out. But if it's a small enough crack, unless there's pressure, it may not seep out.
Yeah, but the pressure might crack the crack.
So how, I mean, I've never,
Well, if it's that vulnerable, it should be replaced
Right.
anyways,
Well,
right?
depends how much pressure they put to it.
I mean, I haven't, I think we've just, deferred to Matt's expertise because we don't,
We don't-
but just in your describing it, I would think that pressure testing would exist in a situation where you thought like a system was going to be under pressure. That is, you were like you had a tank and you were submerging it so that in the water, and you would go down to a depth where there'd be an additional pressure, and you wanted to make sure that. But here, what is the difference between someone filling it with water and not knowing the cracks? Because that's how it's just going to get filled with water.
Most of those tanks are in the water though, so there will be additional pressure pushing on the outside.
So they're below the water table.
No, not all the.
Not all of them, but some of them are.
Okay.
Most of the beach side, the ocean side, the water table is running somewhere around 5 feet.
Okay?
The tanks are about 6 feet deep, but we keep them as high as we can so that the joint is above it. Like, they're not submersed in the water because it wouldn't ever work, but the water table, the tanks full are higher than the water table on the outside, but yes, part of the tank is underwater.
You guys can decide if you want, but if there's, because of the meeting they took, I would think to be thorough to make sure that those aren't compromised in any way. I mean, but if you want to do a gravity test, then do a gravity test.
No,
But,
I'm not, I'm just trying to understand.
I would defer to,
I mean,
I
I'm
don't
trying.
have any expertise in this room.
But yeah, that was my only thought, is because there could be cracks that we just can't visibly see, and they may not just gravity out. I don't know how else to say it.
What is, just since you've opened the topic, what's a typical cost for replacing a tight tank?
A 2,000 gallon tight tank install, I did 2 of them, none last year, the year before. It runs about $7,000 to $8,000.
Okay. And
A
what
lot
about,
of that is because we're doing the testing, so that we have to install the tank, fill it with water, bring the water tankers down, fill them with water. I monitor as part of the engineering cost, and once I say it's okay, the alarm goes in and wired. So the 2,000 gallon tank, we use a mono tank, so there's no joints, except for the top slab, which is out of the water table, so it runs about somewhere between 7,000 and 8,000, between 6 and 8.
and what about self-contained systems? What do they typically
that?
cost? Self-contained systems, what do they typically cost?
Self-contained is in the camper, yeah, on the tank.
So it's just, but adding it to a camper, do you have any, if they currently have a septic system or tight tank?
They have to take the tanks out, the storage tanks, and take it down to the campgrounds and dump them down there, that's my understanding.
Oh, okay, but the expense, I mean, I'm just trying to get a sense of the cost of converting to self-containment as an option.
Well, they wouldn't convert to self-contained. Most campers already have it on board,
They
right?
have it
Yeah.
on board,
They would
yes.
just not, they would just not,
Yes,
they would just not plug into the tank.
there's no,
They would just fill up the tank that's on board already.
there's no volume.
Well, some of them are external tanks, which I think are larger, right?
Some have a tank they bring in,
Yeah,
and they tie it right in on the ground, yes.
right,
But that tank still has to be taken to the camp.
right, exactly.
But
yeah.
the problem we had with a couple of those is that the people themselves were hauling it on like a makeshift trailer, and it ran into a problem with Title V because it wasn't an approved over the road, and they weren't licensed as septic
Oh, I see.
haulers.
Oh, I
So
see.
we ran into some issues with doing it that way. So the best bet, I think, what the solution was, just to leave it there and call in a pumper to come suck out that tank.
Right. Well, it sounds like the issue is, pressure testing available, I guess, right?
Well, I'm trying to find out.
Yeah, so,
I think
so if it's
we'll-
available, I guess.
You know, Matt will bring it to us if there's an
Yeah,
issue.
I'm trying to find out who can do it, and how much is it gonna cost, that's all.
Okay.
I mean, I don't care, I'm not gonna do it, I'm not gonna, because I haven't got the time for that. But people are asking me what's gonna happen, I have to give them an answer.
You say, I'm not doing it, so talk to somebody else.
I can't do that. And the other thing is, that you're gonna accept, I have a couple of people that wanna put tanks on their lot. So is the board open to more tight tanks on the beach or not? You don't have to tell me now.
I'm not.
Oh, do they have an existing tank there now?
Yeah, one of them has a septic system on it.
Well, that's been what we've been doing, the board has been doing over the years, is if they have something, they've been allowed to replace it.
Right.
But,
I just think it's a losing battle over time.
I think it's
Yeah,
a
but
losing
that-
battle. I
yeah,
also
yeah.
am concerned about the environmental impact. I know someone who's an engineer, and he does septics in another state, but he's from Massachusetts, and he said, he shook his head and he said, Donna, this is an environmental disaster waiting to happen down here. And so I'm concerned about another major storm and then what's gonna happen, because I did go down there. I mean, if anybody did go down there and see how badly the storm impacted again this time, and seeing the tight tanks out of the ground, and it's worrisome, it's very worrisome to me, so.
sounds like.
And it's gonna go right into the river, because what happened was the storm surge did go into the river and took all kinds of stuff over to around the river, or into the river.
I don't think that it emptied the tanks, it just fills them up with water and that's about it. That instead of being half full or 1/3 full, they're full.
Okay, well, that's
All
a
right.
topic for another day.
Yeah.
So I think just say the simplest answer is, right, if there has been, well, this applies to septic tanks, but I think it also applies to holding tanks. That if they've been there prior to whatever that March date 95 is, they can be replaced. And then hopefully, I think we just have to deal with the new ones. If someone really wants to come and do a new one, I think, we would have to look at
This
it.
one particular would replace an existing stuff.
Then I think,
I don't know.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
Mr. Potter.
Okay, do we have any other business?
I can't think of anything. Do you have anything, Madam Chair?
I do not.
Okay, so being there no other business, I move that we adjourn this meeting at 5:13 PM.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous, thank you.